Welcome to Video Etudes Volume 2. I'm Bill Olson. I wrote the show you're about to see, and we're coming to you live from Roseville, Minnesota. On this unworthy scaffold, let your imaginary forces work. Think when we speak of celestial treks that spacesuits clothe our players, and that stars pass by huge windows open onto space. If you ain't concerned about good grammar, well, you're going to love the young woman in our next etude. Or you may agree with the young man, but they're both correct as they argue about the merits and origins of the word ain't. We call this etude, Ain't No Such Word. There's no such word as ain't.
Yes, there is.
Forget that. Get it out of your head. There's no such word.
Well, how can it be a contraction if it isn't a word?
I'm not talking with you about it.
Ain't is spelled A-I-N apostrophe T. That apostrophe means
I know what apostrophes mean.
It means that two words are brought together to form one word.
Yes.
Well, it looks like a contraction of a and not. A, not, or ain't.
Yes, I've seen it spelled. Thank you very much.
Well?
Yeah?
So how do you explain it?
I have no interest in explaining it. It's not a word and I don't want you using it.
Have I used it?
Not that I've heard.
Well?
Well, what?
Well, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, ain't is a poor pronunciation for the contraction for have and not, or haven't. According to other sources, it's a contraction for am and not, or amped. I guess the M eventually got lost.
I know all about the etymology of ain't, and you're totally off base.
Oh.
Ain't is a contraction for are not. We say aren't, but it was often ain't or ain't.
Well, I guess there is less difference between ant and ain't than haven't and ain't.
Which is totally irrelevant. Ain't is a mispronunciation of an incorrect contraction to begin with.
Not if it's used as an interrogative.
That's a bunch of baloney.
It's true! Ain't it?
No, never.
I was just illustrating how it can be used by presenting an example.
I ain't talking with you about it.
No. Now, that's wrong. You see, you have to begin with a statement, and then you follow it up with an affirming interrogative.
Affirming interrogative? You just made that up.
Well, I didn't know what else to call it, but you know what I mean. I guess I could have called it an interrogative clause, if it is a clause. Let's see. A clause must contain at least a subject and a verb. Now, if ain't is the verb and it is the subject, even though the word order is a little bit confusing.
I ain't concerned about it! Next, we have a scene from a science fiction short story I wrote called Abandoned Journeys, about a mission to a comet that leads to some startling discoveries. The space mission is actually a way for us to meet some interesting people. And we have two of those people here today. Watch the character of the young man. You'll see that character played by a different actor later on. We call this etude The Breakup.
How's it going?
It's going.
What's this parameter right here?
I think our relationship has gone about as far as it can.
What?
I just don't think it's going to work for us anymore.
Your heart is like the heavens. A cold vacuum. I thought I knew you. It's easy to go behind someone's back, isn't it?
It wasn't behind your back.
You know, the worst part is, I knew this was going to happen.
No one twisted your arm, Jay.
Oh, come on. So you know the human male better than that?
I won't feel guilty.
I did nothing wrong.
Use people and throw them away. Sure, that's nothing to feel guilty about. How silly of you.
Please, shut up.
There's just so much left undone. Things I wanted to say and do. Now they all just lie at my feet. Abandoned journeys. So how long before you dump Ikram?
Get out.
How long is your list now? Trying to break new ground in mathematics?
Please, Jay. Leave.
Dysfunction, 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 dysfunction.
Our next etude is another scene from Abandoned Journeys. This time we go aboard the Christina Marie as she travels off towards Comet Herod. The character of Jay from the last etude is now played by a different actor as he hides in his lonely corner.
That's not right.
Hey, good thing I'm here.
Yeah, why is that, Raj?
Hey, if I wasn't here, you'd have no friends at all on the ship, or in the galaxy, or in the
Yeah,
universe.
thanks. I get it. Why don't you go over there and stand by that airlock, huh, Raj?
I only meant that you'd been off in your lonely corner ever since we launched.
Yeah, well, perhaps someone could ring a bell and Ikram and I could come out slugging, fighting for the prize.
Oh, I get it. Well, I'm not ringing any bells, Jay. A woman's not a quote-unquote prize to be won in a contest.
I just need some peace and quiet to go over my calculations.
Oh, I am disturbing you then.
Oh, no. Stay.
You know, Jay, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but Christelle tried to get you scrubbed from the mission.
Yeah, well, she is a...
Well, that's why she was afraid to face you.
Yeah, well, she ought to be.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Jay, she was afraid to face you.
Yeah, well, so what?
Look, she did the same thing to Dr. Kern on Earth, only she flaunted it in his face every time they saw each other.
So you're telling me to feel lucky? Okay, I feel lucky. I feel like I'm in paradise.
I'm telling you, she's different now. I don't know if it's you or her, but she's not flaunting Ikram. She does care about how you feel.
Yeah, well, if you care about how I feel, you'll go jump straight into a black hole.
From the chill of the night, the Vietnam War is the catalyst for what might be called a modern American horror story about an average American family. Too average. We call this etude A Night.
You sure he's asleep?
Can't be sure of anything except that he's in bed.
You saw how he was. He was storming back and forth. First he was in the kitchen. Then, like some horse, he thumped back to the front stairway.
You gotta remember, Carl, he's a paranoid schizophrenic.
What the hell is that anyway? The doctors don't even know. I've read articles. I've seen descriptions that match Frank. But what is it? What causes it?
Well, if we could just get him out of that church, I think that would be the best thing.
Why did he get in that place to begin with?
He was in jail, Carl.
I know where he was and how it happened, Beth. I want to know why. He's such an intelligent young man. He didn't do it from a weak mind. Did he do it from despair? Despair from what? We've given him everything.
He hasn't been the same since he came back from Vietnam.
Reagan says it was a noble war effort.
I don't want to argue about Reagan. I voted for him, too. But you tell him about Frankie. He hasn't seen him.
The trouble with that war was that the soldiers weren't allowed to win.
Now, why isn't the VA doing anything to help him?
I've been writing letters. I wish I could do more. I'm so tired, but I'm afraid to go to bed.
I've heard that schizophrenics can just up and kill somebody and not even know they're doing it. You yelled at him an awful lot.
You spoiled him when he was little. You spoiled all the kids.
And you were never home. It was always more important that you were in Madison for your VA board. I had to raise those kids. They never had a father.
You're just like your sister. Why don't you wake up?
Why don't you go to bed?
Oh, I'll go to bed. I'll take a cue stick with me. If he tries to hurt me, I'll beat his head in.
I'll talk to him tomorrow. He'll go back into the hospital and we'll probably have to regulate his medicine or something. Well, I'm gonna get to bed.
I'm coming too, Beth. I was thinking, we could move away.
Move where?
Out to the country.
I like it here. And you're about ready to retire. I don't think I want to live in the country.
It'll be quiet there. We can visit the city. Maybe we'll appreciate the city more. We'll start a garden of flowers and vegetables. All we'll have to face are the weeds.
It won't be a garden for us. I'll have to do all the work.
Our next etude is actually a little poem which many of you will identify with. Watch for cameo appearances by actors you've already seen. In fact, this could be considered a sequel to the last. Well, anyway, this does contain some language that will offend some viewers.
I've heard it once, I've heard it twice, no more my ears can take.
Get outside, you lazy bum. Pick up that damn rake.
Oh, yes, it's true. The leaves are there. They'll probably kill the grass. It's also true I'm lazy. I just can't move my ass. So I'll sit inside the living room in that reclining chair, watching one of my Star Trek tapes with a mighty, I don't care!
Our next two etudes take us thousands of years into the future. A utopian society called the Orion Union peacefully rules our part of the galaxy, the Orion arm of the Milky Way spiral. A scientific starship journeys to a distant planet. In our next etude, The Meeting, one of her crew members meets her idol. Imagine futuristic clothing and a marvelous sculpture in progress.
You, get away from there.
Oh, sorry, I meant no harm.
Yes, of course.
I'm Joe Border, also from Earth.
Delighted, but I'm kind of busy.
Oh, I understand that. I liked your paper on the art of ancient Altair.
You're a student then?
Well, kind of. I'm an engineer on a survey ship, the Corpus Christi. Well, that's why I'm here. I've been interested in art and literature for a long time. Years ago, I read a novel by Brandon Bedine, and he made a reference to you. Well, I'd always heard about you, but I never paid much attention. And then I looked up a picture of your Skull of Night sculpture. Oh, I became an instant fan. Your paper on the art of Altair was one of the first...
Altair B. Please be precise. I wrote a separate paper on Altair E and one tying the entire Altair system together.
I've read them all. You put a lot of your own interpretations into those papers. Did you find much opposition from their governments?
They screened everything I wrote in case there was material they didn't agree with. Then they commented on it in footnotes.
Oh yeah, I remember those footnotes.
It was a compromise. They knew they couldn't legally keep me from publishing in the Orion Journal. But after hearing about studies on Earth that had become unpopular with the descendants of those who had been studied, they insisted on a way to protect their integrity. Are you an artist?
Oh, I paint some. I'd like to be a professional, but realistically I'll probably have to stick to engineering. I'm saving my money, though. I'd like to buy my own ship and go into the transport business. Oh, this is nice. It looks like an old suspension bridge. Well, this takes a lot of patience.
Yes, a lot of patience and concentration.
Well, it was... I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you.
Now we actually board the Corpus Christi. We find out what her mission is, and we learn about friendship in this future society. Imagine that we are on a starship of the distant future with different clothing, control panels, and a window looking onto the stars in space. This etude is an excerpt from a script I wrote called The Last Friend.
Keep practicing that. I bet you'll be able to do it without kneeling one day.
It shows my subservience to God. Listen, would you cover your chest?
I have to change for the mission, Theser.
Rush, 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 rush. We don't even dock for another 5 hours.
We've been in orbit for about 10 minutes already.
What?
You've got to stay on top of our agenda, or the Union crew members will get mad.
You know, speaking of Union crew members, I was talking to Walker. He never even heard of Jesus Christ before this mission.
Of course. That's why you're upset about him being on the ship.
Oh, I'm not. Our mission is to research events on the planet Sheridan because they are so similar to events surrounding the birth of Jesus Christ in the Bible. I have purely a professional interest in this.
You've been handing me that academic double talk ever since we boarded the Corpus Christi. Why don't you just come out with it? You want to find out if that child down there is the resurrection of Christ. You're just here to find the meaning of Christmas.
We're here to gather data, Metro. As far as I'm concerned, the people who are financing this mission, they can determine what is going on down there.
And those financing this mission just happen to be the Orion Institute of Religious and Political Sciences, the Newcomb Association of Churches, and the government of East Mulata. You always side with religious entities. You don't like Walker because he's non-religious. He's just here to do his job as a teleport technician. That didn't bother the consortium. They hired him. Why are you so pissed off about it?
You know, if that were true, I'd be upset that you're here. You're the most anti-religious person that I know.
How do I know you're not upset?
We're best friends.
From the future, we travel to the past. Our next etude lets us visit Edward de Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford. A tremendous amount of documentation supports the notion that Edward was actually one of the most famous people in history. a name you know. The following etude is fiction, but is based on very strong evidence. Imagine a glorious English palace and Elizabethan clothes.
Edward, you write most beautifully, but men of your rank just do not indulge in writing poetry.
I may have a certain rank, but I'm not as rank as you.
Men of noble birth must study literature, not write it, and God forbid publish it. He must carry the wisdom to lead the lesser classes, and having acquired such wisdom, not burden himself with trite pretenses.
It would be a trite pretense for me to ignore my love of writing.
You tempt the loss of your title, Earl of Oxford, and if you fall, I fall. I won't have your indulgences beckon scorn on my head.
What use is there in a title, in a position of nobility, if I'm to be held as captive as one of the traitors in the Queen's Tower?
You are a traitor, cousin.
A traitor to whom? Not to England.
A traitor to your blood, to the father who gave you position, to the mother who gave you life, and yes, to the Queen, through whom you serve the crown.
Serve the crown? Is it serving the crown to lie prone in tall grass, unable to see beyond the green stems before me, except for a few anemic sketches dropped to me? Or is it duty to stand on these legs and raise my head tall above the grass and the bushes, and to know the world? And from these eyes, let these hands sketch things no one has heretofore seen. To study is but servitude. To write, this is to rule.
Well, then rule elsewhere, Edward, for we'll have none of your rules here.
I will certainly continue to write.
Well, then save your family at least from disgrace. Will you accept the advice of that John Lilly you're so fond of and adopt a name for your pen?
What's in a name that would change me?
You won't change, but our honors will stay bright.
Okay. Then I shall take as my name William. Thus, William the Conqueror. Thus a victor. That my pen shall not wither. And a surname. How about Shakespeare? Just so you remember, I will always remain defiant. So, how now, fair cuz?
Well, I suppose you paid the debt, though not the interest.
Ah, the interest too is paid. For as my interest in writing grows like the oak outside, thus freed to blossom its plumage, other people will gain an interest in my words. Thus, debt and interest paid in full. So now, fair cuz, off to write I go.
Not many people know that George Washington and Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. In the United States, we practice what I like to call political animism. That is, we deify the founders of our country, almost scandalously hiding or ignoring the negative facts about these people. Our next etude, Kings and Pawns, presents a fictional conversation between Jefferson and Washington, but the information is based on historical information. Imagine the costumes and white wigs of the late 18th century.
General, you've really got to do something about the way you treat your slaves.
Nonsense, Thomas. You should just stick with your music.
I don't think I can do that. Not when I see a man flogged that way. Look at that.
I need to maintain some discipline, Thomas. Give someone an inch and they'll take a mile.
Give someone an inch and you've not given them very much at all.
Well, you abolitionists push your case with all the fury of the pronounced word. Why don't you lead by example? Free the slaves you own.
I'm not discussing abolition at this moment. I'm discussing gentleness, respect, consideration.
Well, I've considered your discussion of gentleness, and I've decided I want respect. And if I have to use a whip to use it, that's what I'll use.
You've never heard of me having such discipline problems as you. Yet I don't whip mine but infrequently and for serious offenses.
Why would anyone rebel against you, Thomas? You give them meat. You give them enough living space to hold a grand ball.
Not quite.
I'd say quite. They live like royalty at Monticello. Hell, I'll bet you give them wine.
They might as well have some human dignity.
Dignity is not economical.
I told Dr. Franklin that slavery itself is not economical.
No, I believe it no longer is.
Then why continue it?
Well, I'm no abolitionist, but I'm getting close to sending them on their way every time I look over my books. I don't know how you can afford to keep your slaves. Anyone would think an abolitionist like you would open the gates. Shoot, shoot.
I've never ignored the political or social reality. I've never advocated abolishing slavery in one massive swoop. It needs to be done slowly, over time. I think that's as important for the Negro as it is for society. Filling the streets with free Negroes is going to fire up a lot of hostility, and you know who'll pay. The Negro. At least for now, I can give mine a place to sleep, some honest labor, and halfway decent food.
Always the humanitarian. So, you want a game of chess?
Sure. Set them up.
My board is always set up. You can be white.
General, you're such a good host.
Call me George.
In Video Etudes Volume 2, your imaginations have allowed us to travel to the distant reaches of space, to the sometimes overly romanticized past, and to the very pit of English grammar. Now, let your imaginations take us into the midst of one of the most important questions of ethics and morality in modern America. Tonight, I hope we've entertained you, and now I hope we enlighten you. I call our final etude Reception Party.
Oh, Bob, you'll never change.
Why should little old me change the laws of entropy?
You're breaking every other law.
Well, who's keeping track?
Bob, why did you invite everyone at the reception party to your place?
It was a nice gesture.
You can be nice by just smiling.
Ah, so it's not romance you're after.
I want to help you clear your head.
Yeah, there sure is a lot of smoke in there. You think a bunch of doctors would know better.
I was thinking of the smoke up here, Bob.
Marilyn, you have no respect for me.
Bob, you've just been given an award of excellence by the world's foremost medical research scientists. I'd just like you to come across with a little respectability.
What about integrity? Tonight, I'm going to demonstrate integrity. It's something that I've been working at for a long time. So, let's go back inside so I can direct.
Bob, you can't take people of this stature to a slum.
But I'm of their stature, and I'm going there. I go there every night.
Why didn't you keep your old place? Your wife had loved it so much, she'd turn in her grave if she knew
Now,
you'd sold it to live in a slum.
Let's stop pretending. This has nothing to do with what my wife would have wanted or my stature. It has to do with your aristocratic prejudices and enslavement to fashion and image. I was researching the case of this man who I got to know quite well. His mother had died.
Yes, that black man, Everett.
Yes. Well, Everett made me understand the value of wealth. I realize that I have no right to make $5 million a year and then turn around and spend it on my own pitiful luxuries.
You still make $5 million a year, Bob. You're not fooling anybody.
I'm not trying to fool anybody. The money I make goes to help poor people put food on their tables and to help them afford health care. I make whatever I make, I just keep for my own purposes so that I can just put a roof over my head. I'm very proud of what I'm doing, and yes, I'm going to invite the reception party and the press, and I hope every one of my colleagues feels so guilty that they change their lifestyle, and I hope it makes it to every front page of every paper.
They would just look down on you, Bob.
Well, that tells us something about them. So, you coming or staying?
You need someone for damage control.
My ego's not in danger. I'll not lose their respect.
I meant I'll help you clean up after they leave.